joining us. State Representative Noah Arbit back here on the Splash Live. Representative, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Good to see you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, Dave.
Well, it's awful good to have you with us. Look, it's a complicated, we'll get right down to business because I know you're in a hurry and you're tight in time today. It's a complicated society that we live in, and it seems to be getting more complicated every day. But anti-Semitic acts have been with us, continue to be with us, and that was certainly the case recently at Norwood Country Club. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Well, there was an event that was supposed to be held at Knollwood on Thursday evening. It was moved to a different location in West Bloomfield due to some threats that were received. And then, so you had some protesters show up, advocating for, the conflict in Israel and Palestine. And, and they were blocking the street and the police had to show up. But, most importantly was what happened the next day, which was discovered, anti-Semitic vandalism on Knollwood Country Club, which is a heavily Jewish institution, and it said, some swear words, and then I hope you all die, and so to me. This is really, just part of a growing trend of, people who are claiming to advocate, for the Palestinian cause, who are really just masquerading, their anti-Semitism and attacking Jewish institutions. This is something that's been happening all across the country, and to see it rear its ugly head in our community is just so incredibly disgusting and outrageous. I think, in West Bloomfield, we are a community that prides ourselves on our rich diversity, and if you ask me, we're not going to be cowed or intimidated by people who seek to, stow hatred and division by coming into our community and committing acts of hate. But I think it's really important that we all stipulate and say that, it's not anti-Semitic to have, concerns or criticisms about, the war in Gaza. But it is anti-Semitic to attack Jewish institutions, to assault Jewish people, and to intimidate Jewish students on college campuses. All of these things that we've been seeing. And so, to me, as a leader, as a representative for our community, I've been taking on this issue of rising hate crimes and protecting our houses of worship. And to see, 2 days after my institutional desecration bill, which protects houses of worship and communal institutions, to see this 2 days after that bill actually took effect into full force of law, to see this happen in our own community was both really jarring, but also just a reminder of how important these fights continue to be.
Well, and they are, and it is a difficult time, but that gets reported, okay? And this show is a little bit different. This is not gotcha TV, right? We're not always looking for the darkest story to report. And I just want people to know, and I know you know it, that we have an interfaith council here of our religious leaders that really do work together. Religious leaders in this community of all faith that get together on a regular basis to do everything they can to keep these communities working together. But when you
And
throw
West Bloomfield
salt,
is actually,
on the go ahead.
West Bloomfield is just such a model for how, how interfaith dialogue can work. I mean, we have such diversity, ethnic, racial, religious, and we're all proud of that. And I think it makes our community special. It makes us who we are in West Bloomfield, in the greater West Bloomfield area. And to me, this strikes at the heart of that, right? This is something that is certainly not members of our community we're participating in, and goes against everything that we stand for. And again, we can all have different views on, on geopolitical issues. But when you cross the line into, just base hatred and intimidation, that's where you have to draw the line. And to me, that's a very clear line, and where people are on every side of this issue are, should be able to say that this was not okay.
So I remember the day that I met you. It was a couple of years ago. You were starting your campaign, and there you were in a line of candidates. And I said, "Who is that young man that wants to be our next state senator?" And lo and behold, 2 years later, you really have embraced the spirit of the job. I can't get on here and say you've done a good job or a bad job. That's not my role. But I can say that I see you in the community all the time, and I know you care. And then I did notice that you said that coming up in March, I believe, if I put my glasses on here, on the 18th of March, you'll be announcing and officially beginning your campaign. Could you tell us what went into that decision?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think, I as a state representative, I'm elected for a 2-year term, and I can serve a maximum of 6 terms if the people of West Bloomfield Commerce and the Lakes decide that they want me to continue to represent them. And but I have learned a lot. There's never a dull moment in the legislature in Lansing. But there are so many issues that I care about and so many things in our community that I still have to fight for. And so, to me, as I was looking at this decision, and it actually was a decision. It wasn't just a pro forma, perfunctory thing where I said, "Oh, of course I'm running for reelection." I actually had to think about it and say, do I still have enough in the tank? Is this something that where I can continue to give my all for people and continue to serve the people of our community with fidelity? And I decided that I still have enough in the tank for another 2 years, and I'm going to give it another go and leave all the chips on the table, and hopefully the community in greater West Bloomfield feels that I've represented them well, and feels good about reelecting me. But I take nothing for granted. I'm going to go out in the community and work my heart out to earn people's trust and support again, and for a second time, and for another 2 years. So to me, while I am an incumbent, I still have the same ethic of responsibility to earn the voters' trust here in Greater West Bloomfield, and
And
I'm excited to do it.
And Noah Arbit, I know you got to go, so just one final question. Thank you for that. We'll have plenty of time as you go through the campaign to talk about the issues of the day, what your position, what others' positions are. But just briefly, taking a look back over the last couple of years, this is a new experience for you. Can you think of any one thing that brought you the most happiness over your service over the past couple of years?
I love that question. It's hard for me to pick one moment, but going into when I go to Lansing every day, it's sort of like you're in the melee, and there's all this drama and negotiations and who's up, who's down, but coming back here to West Bloomfield, that's what heals me. That's what, and then talking to people about what's on their minds, what concerns them, and what they're seeing the legislature do that they like or don't like. That is my favorite part of the job, because I didn't run, in any other community. I ran in my hometown. I ran in this community that I've lived in my whole life, and to represent, my neighbors and people that I've known my whole life. That it fills me up inside, and it's just so profoundly meaningful. And I wouldn't want to represent any other community than the Greater West Bloomfield area, and it is really such a special community. And to feel like we haven't had a strong voice in Lansing for such a long time, and then to come in here every single day and do everything I can to raise our community's unique concerns, to really get the Greater West Bloomfield perspective in those negotiations, in those conversations, like that has meant everything to me as a resident of this community. And so to be able to do that as the state representative, it's been pretty meaningful and pretty special. So thanks for the question.
All right, thank you very much. I really appreciate. Thank you. I appreciate your words. He is State Representative Noah Arbit, and again, running for office and still hard at work every day on the issues, some of those we discussed this morning. Thank you, Noah, for being here.